right, we are back to the 412 press coverage with your starring host, me, Jrod, and we got Maurio over there. And with a special guest to join us today, we got Drayvon in the Steelers jersey down there. And our very first topic will be we're going to talk about them poor old Steelers. Um, Dre, how do you feel that the Steelers game went yesterday?
Me and Mario, we went to the game, and first of all, before anything, it was an amazing atmosphere, great game. But some of the things I saw just man, like our rebuild might take a little longer than what was originally expected. Mario, what do you think? I don't.
So, so I think there's two biggest takeaways I think from this game, right? Mitch really did not play that well in relief. Probably
And
played a
we
lot
all
worse.
knew that. We all knew that, though. We all
He
knew that.
probably played even
Yeah,
me, a Mitch hater. I thought he would play a little bit better. And then the second one is the defense, in particular the run defense, man. Just I just think it was so pathetic. It was really bad. The problem here is how much Baltimore ran on us and how effective they were. And the thing I was kind of thinking about to myself yesterday was the Ravens had to have known that the only way they beat the Steelers yesterday was if they run the ball effectively. They knew Tyler Huntley wasn't going to dot us up, and God forbid their third stringer had to come in and dot us up. They knew the only way they were going to be able to beat us was to run the ball. So conversely, the Steelers needed to know as well. We win this game if we can stop the run. We stop the run, we win the game. Force Huntley to throw on you. Force Tyler Huntley to make tough throws, tough completions, and they didn't do that well enough yesterday. And the run defense, it needs solved. It needs fixed.
it's bad, man. It's bad.
J.K. Dobbins, the Ravens starting running back yesterday, coming off of an injury. Obviously, he tore the ACL last season, but he was hurt again this year. It was his first game in almost 2 months. He ran for 115 yards on us. 115 yards, and obviously had the long run of 40. And the Steelers' run defense, man, I mean, they just get worse and worse. And they're the main reason why, even the last two games that we won, why they were closer than they needed to be at the end. Against the Colts, they ran for 110 against us. The Falcons ran for 146 against us. And then in a game where you had to stop the run and make Baltimore throw the ball, they ran for 215. So my biggest takeaway is the run defense, it needs fixed. They're up.
I was in the car this morning. Obviously, people are in Pittsburgh aren't too happy. You go across Twitter and you listen to their Twitter comments hashtag Steelers. It's nothing but bad stuff on here. Um, One, everyone believes Matt Canada needs to go. I don't think he'll be here next year. I think it's just more of a popularity thing at this point that he won't be here. The fans don't want him here. So I think he'll be gone. The biggest takeaway for me is has anyone heard TJ Watt's name yesterday besides what did he have one sack, one tackle?
TJ had a sack, but I'm taking into account that he's playing with like broken ribs. He's already beat up in this season. I know he wasn't as much of a vocal point as he usually is, but like it's just he's a player that I could cut a little bit of slack.
The thing is, um, just like with my Giants, I don't cut slack for my best player, Saquon Barkley, no matter if
Mhm.
he's hurt or not. If you take that field, whether you're 100% or not, you take the field, and you gotta do something. You pay this guy X amount of money to to be the best player on your team, and you want 3 sacks out of the guy every day. You know what I mean?
Fair
Even though
enough.
it's not
Yeah.
possible, but you want those sacks, you want those TFLs. You know, you can't we can't just be sitting here like, oh, we can cut him some slack. We can't cut nobody slack, especially in a poor Pittsburgh team. It was only 2 years ago that the Pittsburgh Steelers were 11-0.
Don't even get me
2 years
started.
ago, it was only 2 years
Uh,
ago. 2 years ago, that was it. That they were 11-0.
no,
I think the thing about TJ Watt is like obviously you don't want to. I mean, cutting him slack, yes, because he's been injured. He's got the rib injury. He's coming off an injury, and yes, I'll admit he has not been the same. I mean, we're talking about a player when the game that he played against Cincinnati. It seemed like he had his fingerprints on every single time they snapped the ball. T.J. Watt was somewhere near the ball. He was getting sacked. He was deflecting the pass. He was getting great interceptions. Obviously, he hasn't been the same since he came back. I think it's not much of a it's not much of a I'm not like critical of him. It's more of I'm not really worried about it because
Yeah,
the
I
season
agree.
is
I
lost. The
agree.
offseason is lost now. I'm not concerned that he's not going to be the same player he was because he had an injury. I totally think that he'll get better, and next season, hopefully, he's healthy. I don't think TJ Watt. I don't think it's a big issue. What do you think? It's not a big issue.
No, I don't think it is.
The biggest thing for me, I think, my biggest takeaway from the Steelers game yesterday, I think the biggest thing was that they lost to the Baltimore Ravens without their starting quarterback. And I think that was the biggest vocal point out of the whole game is that, yes, take nothing away from Huntley. He's a terrific athlete, but he's not Lamar Jackson. And, no one thinks he's Lamar Jackson. So the fact that they lost, without playing Lamar Jackson was it's kind of a dangerous topic. And I don't know how far the Steelers will go in the next coming years, but I know it needs to be a big turnaround and a big turnaround fast for the City of Champions because it ain't looking too good.
And that goes back to kind of what I brought up. It was like it was just the run game. I think they threw for like 94 pass yards, and their third string quarterback threw five passes. He completed three of them for like 15 yards. So the issue was not the quarterback was not like I get it. If they would have had Lamar yesterday, I mean, who knows how the game would have been different, but they ran all over us. It wasn't a matter of who the quarterback was. It was a matter of who the running back was.
Yeah, they could
And
have put anyone back there, and we still were going to lose that game off the pure fact that they were running the ball.
it was like it was kind of like Dre, like we were at the game. As much as we wanted to hold out hope when we got that touchdown with 2.5 minutes left and we kicked it off, as much as we wanted to hope that we were going to get the ball back, it kind of felt like the stadium. It was like we knew that there was no way Baltimore wasn't going to get 10 yards
We were
on
all
one.
rocking, but it just was
Yeah,
like third and
we knew it
4.
was
They've
like,
been picking up like 5-6 yards per carry. It was like, I don't know if we're going to get this stop and call a
so
timeout.
yeah. It's not necessarily like I'm not like so embarrassed because we lost to. I don't even know what his name is. I'm sorry, but I'm not
Anthony
even like
Brown.
embarrassed. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed that we lost to Anthony Brown, but it's like I'm more embarrassed by the fact that they ran so effectively on us when we knew that was what we had to stop them. We had to stop them from running. And
Mm.
another thing that it kind of made me realize was my second takeaway was I think I realized how important Kenny Pickett really is to the offense. Like
Oh
I
man,
know,
Yes.
I'm a Kenny
Yes.
Pickett guy, but it wasn't necessarily Mitch had good throws and he had the good deep balls, and people will say, "Oh, Kenny doesn't throw deep balls or whatever." And
good
But
throws,
no, he did. He did,
he
though.
did
good
have good
throws.
throws. He had
He
three
did.
really good,
Okay.
solid deep
I'll give you one
throws.
thing. I'll give you one thing. The very first play of the game, yeah, he came out slinging the ball and then threw a
He
fucking
threw like a,
interception in the red
and
zone.
I so just listen to me. Listen to me. That's where I'm.
He
So
threw
yeah,
three interceptions.
they were. I'm not about to defend Mitch. I'm
Yeah,
actually
oh, we're
about to
not
like
defending
break
those. Heck
down. Oh my,
no.
you were defending Mitch, bro.
Oh,
Are you
no, no,
kidding me?
no.
Bro, are you kidding? You better not never show his face in my city ever again, bro. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
no.
Listen, I just think I'm going based off of the Twitter because I read Twitter about. I probably read Kenny Pickett's Twitter more than Kenny Pickett
It
reads
was
Twitter.
brutal.
The comments be getting to me, bro. They be getting to me.
It was brutal.
The thing about Kenny Pickett when he commands the offense is he doesn't necessarily have the 40-yard pass plays and the great deep balls, even though he's done it. He's done it a few times this season. Maybe
Hmm.
not enough, but it's the way the offense moves and the flow in which we have. We're not going 40 yards on one play. Think about against Indiana or Indianapolis when we had good drives, and against Atlanta when we had good drives. It was very slowly but surely picking apart the defense and moving down the field. We had the run game involved. We were passing it. Evie was passing 6 yards, 7 yards, a couple 10-yard completions. It's like our drives were getting to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 plays over the course of 6 or 7 or 8 minutes. And that to me is a reflection of Kenny Pickett and the quarterback. And he might not be able to throw for 50 yards on one pass yet, but the way he moves the ball and the way he controls the offense, I think is so vital to the Steelers. And I think when Mitch came in yesterday, it kind of disrupted that, and that was a big factor in why we lost.
Yeah, Mitch had like a good ball to Deontay. He had a nice ball to George. But then we'd get inside the 20 and he's throwing it to Muth in like quadruple coverage. Like you can't have that. At this point, I'm looking at Mason Rudolph to come in the game if Kenny can't go.
That
Yeah.
long ball, I know that long ball to I think it was a long ball to Deontay Johnson. He threw it in triple coverage,
Are you
and
talking about the third interception?
it looked absolutely ridiculous. It was a long ball on the left side of the field,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down the field, and you're throwing in triple coverage. It looked ridiculous. I mean, I don't, these guys are professional athletes, but just from a student of the game, just from a person who played the game, it just looks fucking ridiculous out there what the Steelers are
Yeah,
doing.
Oh my goodness. Well, the third interception was by far the worst. I mean, I
that
know
was bad.
the first and second. I think the third one I wouldn't say was the worst because I guess it depends on what you categorize as worst. But it was like
They
the
were
third
all
one was the
bad.
most pathetic because at least the first and second one, like the second one he threw into quadruple coverage was, I mean, is messed up in and of itself. But there was a receiver in the area. The first one, like I said, the Baltimore Raven defender made a great play. But the third interception, that was such a bad throw that it almost looked like the Baltimore defender was like, it was like he was catching a punt. And that's how bad of a throw it was. It was inexcusable, it was terrible, and I will say the thing about Mitch was at least he took responsibility after the game. He just seemed to be very
Yep,
apologetic.
He admitted what he did.
it's not like
So
what's
I
his
mean,
name from the Jets.
Zach
it's not like
Wilson.
Jack Wilson. So I mean, I respect him for that. But I think if there was any doubt, I think it confirmed that Mitch. I just think him being out there on the field just kind of takes away from the energy of these guys. I think they got used to playing with Kenny. I think they liked playing with Kenny because we were winning with Kenny and we were
Mm.
winning, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We were really effective with him.
We look like we had
So
more energy.
we had more energy. So and even like think about, I don't know if there's some type of correlation here, but just think about Najee. Like I'm not sure how good the Ravens are in terms of their run defense this season. I mean, I don't think they're anything special. But Najee was running like a monster against Atlanta, and then yesterday he had a good couple runs on the first drive when Kenny was in, and then Kenny goes out, and I think he had 12 carries for like 34 yards yesterday. I mean, even him, he wasn't that effective.
Like I said last week, you have this monster in the backfield that is proven to be great, that is proven to be good. If you're not handing him the ball 20 times a game, you're wasting him.
Yeah,
And
he
that's just
only
my
had
personal
12 carries.
opinion,
Exactly.
I feel like Mitch threw the ball way more than he needed to.
If Mitch is a
which is
game manager,
costly.
he should not be throwing the ball that many times. I don't want to see
Mitch,
that from him.
he was 22 for 30. And the thing about Mitch's stat line was on the surface, it kind of not a bad stat line. 22 for 30. I think he had 276 yards and a touchdown, but
Without the
it's still
picks, it's
just
a good stat line. Yeah.
without the pitch is a good stat line, but it's just the offense just wasn't. I don't know. Just I feel like everything that really went wrong for the Steelers, that's what they did.
Yeah, from what I noticed when we were there, it was like we would get these little chunk yardage plays. He's throwing it for 5. He might throw it for like a little check down. We get like 10 yards, like the pass to Jalen Warren. But then out of nowhere, he would just play too overly aggressive. He said that in his press conference. He said he played a little too overly aggressive, and he would get trigger happy and just try to throw some into like triple coverage or have a rotating safety coming over when Deontay's running a fade. You can't do that. You just can't.
You gotta see it before it happens. Let's move on from that a little bit. Let's talk about Kenny Pickett and his concussion. Actually, it comes into question with quarterbacks and injuries. It's been coming into question of late, just like Lamar Jackson. Like I don't think Lamar should play for the rest of the season. Is it really beneficial to the Steelers for Kenny Pickett to play the rest of the season?
Maury, you can
You
start
know,
this one off, man.
this is a very intricate question, and I'm glad you asked it because it really is a great question. There's two ways the Steelers season can go from here on out. There's three ways. Kenny Pickett plays, and he continues to get better, and the Steelers win a couple games. We might finish 8-9, or even 9-8 with Kenny Pickett back there, and we have a not so good draft pick, but at least Kenny improved. Or Kenny comes back and he plays. Oh wait, no, sorry. No, that's not right. Or Kenny doesn't come back and he plays. I think if Kenny comes back, we'll be good. We'll win games for the rest of the season. Can we agree on that? I think
I
if
can
Kenny
agree
Pickett
with
comes
that.
back,
I don't agree at all.
I think we win at least one or two more, maybe three more
I
games.
No,
think
no, no. I want to hear what Jonathan has to say.
Go ahead,
Why do
I
you
Jamal. Go
think
ahead.
disagree?
it hurts. Okay, just just hear me out. I think it hurts the Steelers more than anything if Kenny Pickett comes back and plays. One, gets injured again, gets another concussion. Two, he comes back and plays. He plays right, and he plays pretty decent, but we lose out for the rest of the season. People are going to look at Kenny Pickett like he's the problem. So
We
here's
won, but the thing is like we go ahead, Jerry. Sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
No,
well
I
here
just feel
here's the main
I
thing though.
get what you're
Here's the main
talking about.
thing.
All right,
Here's the main
what's
thing.
up?
In Pittsburgh, the number one thing is when you lose, you lose. You just suck no matter what.
Yeah.
So
We are
Kenny Pickett
brutal.
keeps losing, and he loses the rest of the season. Even though it's not necessarily Kenny Pickett's fault, it doesn't matter because guess what? We're looking at Kenny Pickett now, and we're like, maybe he's not the guy. But if he sits out for the rest of the season, comes back next season, prepared, healthy, ready to play, we're not going to look at him like, oh, he sucked so bad last season. Meanwhile, if he loses out, I think it's a much bigger risk and reward because guess what? We're not making the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if the Steelers don't start him for the rest of the season. Steelers aren't going to the playoffs. So, and that being said, Kenny can sit out, he can get ready, and we can call it that. That's just my personal opinion on it. Like I said, it's worse for him to go out, worse for him to play, and then we lose out, and then the Steeler fans and Steelers, everything just lose hope in Kenny Pickett.
I feel like the fact of like whether Kenny should play or not comes down to like developmental reasons. Getting that NFL experience, playing those games, showing the city that you're tough, you're coming back. I'm still gonna rock with y'all. Let's say he does. We don't win the rest of our games. I still think the vast majority of people are still gonna be like, oh, Matt Canada this,
No
Tomlin
one's
that.
gonna, no one's gonna believe that. Though. Like in our reality, you lived in Pittsburgh your whole life. You know dang well if Kenny Pickett loses out the rest of the season, everyone's gonna think he's a scrub. Even though
Fans
I
would
don't
be
believe,
brutal. Fans would
even
be
though I don't
brutal.
believe Kenny Pickett is a scrub, I don't believe that at all. I'm just saying, if he loses out the rest of the season, guess what? He's done for in Pittsburgh. That's what everyone's gonna go by.
Pittsburgh fans are brutal. They are.
Okay.
I will admit
Okay.
that.
So, a couple things. If Kenny Pickett, and first of all, it doesn't matter what the fans think. It matters what Mike Tomlin thinks and what the coaches
Mhm.
think, and what the
Guess
players
whoa,
think, and
whoa,
what
whoa,
the
whoa,
players
whoa,
think.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, let's pause for a second. It
I,
matters what the fans think. It matters what the fans think. You know why?
if
Because
Kenny
at the end of the
Pickett,
day, the fans are the ones filling the stands. And the fans are the
if it
ones
mattered what the
making a
fans
profit.
think, Matt Canada would have been fired after week 3.
Oh yeah, if
If
that
it
was the
mattered
case,
Matt
what the
yeah.
Canada's
fans
going
think,
after
Matt
this
Canada,
year.
he would have
Mark
The
been
way
my
it's
fired
words.
going
after
right
week 1.
now,
He would have
Mark
been
my
fired after
words.
week 1.
Matt
Kenny Pickett
Canada
would
will
have been
not be
playing
there.
at week 1 if it mattered what the fans
the
think.
way
Matt
it's trending right
Canada
now, Matt
won't be
Canada
there.
is going to be our OC next year.
He will
I'm
not be
telling
there.
you.
He
I'm
will
telling
not
you,
be there next year.
if Kenny Pickett is the type of player that loses all confidence in himself because of what people are saying on Twitter, then he's not the quarterback for us.
Yeah, then
Because
we just don't want him if that's the case.
It's
more than
not
happy
about
about it.
confidence. With the NFL, the way the NFL is today, the fans and the media drive a lot of these conversations. And everyone knows that. The media drives a lot of the conversations for everybody. So you go here and out and you go and lose all these games. And guess what? The everyone's looking at the media. Guess what?
But look,
When
that
the
comes
media is
down to
talking,
confidence.
when the media is coming down and being like, man, this guy might really suck. Guess what everyone else is doing? Guess what the owner's doing? Guess what the coach is doing? They're second guessing them too, just like everybody else.
That's what it
They
comes
might
down to
not say they are.
confidence. No. Because look. Let's look at Tua. You know, you've heard the stories about Tua. He, after his first year, people are like, oh, this guy's a bust. This guy is nothing. Mike McDaniels comes in. He says Tua's questioning himself because he's hearing the noise. He's hearing people saying, Tua, you're not good. Tua, you can't do this. Mike McDaniels is showing him clips of all the good things he's done. That is what drives people. Your coach is not going to tell you you suck. He will show you all the good qualities that you have. He will build you up and he will let you go out there and play your brand of football.
Like I'm saying, I just think the media plays a very big part
Even
into
think about
into contract extension, into contracts in general. Like I said, I don't think Matt Cannon is going to be there next year. I think that's done for.
I hope not.
No matter what you guys say,
yeah.
Matt Cannon is going to be gone next year. And you know why he's going to be gone? Because the media don't like him. That's
Well, he's
just
going to be
simple as
gone
that.
because he's a terrible offensive coordinator and he runs jet sweeps like 10 times a game.
Yeah,
But
brother,
hold up.
I'm
Canada
just saying.
sweep.
There's a few things I want to say. First of all, think about a quarterback like Josh Allen his first season. 5-6, that was his win-loss record. He completed 52.8% of his passes through 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And Josh Allen now is regarded, even though I might not think as highly of him, he's regarded as an MVP candidate in this league. Second of all, I'm telling you, if Kenny Pickett comes back, he will win games. If Kenny Pickett is the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last 4 games of the season, we will win at least 2 of those games.
Of
But
course.
what
Second of all,
happens if he
Definitely.
doesn't? What happens?
I'm telling
I
you
just
he
want to be
is.
clear. What
I'm telling
happens
you
if
he
he
is.
doesn't win
If he
games?
doesn't win games, we get
Nothing
a better
happens if
draft pick.
yeah, exactly. Nothing
happens.
happens.
If
You
anything,
guys
that's
are
even
saying
better if
this
we do.
now. You guys are saying this now. But
We
Kenny
want a
Pickett
good
comes
draft
back
pick, bro.
and he wins 0 games. You know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to say he sucks.
No, I don't give a shit.
But
I
even
don't
if
care. It
everyone
doesn't
does say
matter.
that, it
It
doesn't
doesn't matter,
matter.
bro. It
It
doesn't fucking
matters.
matter.
It
No,
matters.
Another
no.
thing I want to say. The worst thing that can happen, you know what's worse than Kenny Pickett playing and us losing games is Kenny Pickett not playing and us winning games.
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
way worse. If Kenny Pickett
Well,
doesn't
wouldn't
come back,
that prove that he's not that good then? That don't make no damn sense. That would
I'm
prove that he's not
saying,
that damn good.
I'm saying if he's hurt and we somehow win games without him, say we go 3-1 in the last 4, and now Kenny Pickett didn't have a chance to grow and get better, and we have a lower draft pick in terms of where we are at, that would be worse. I'd rather Kenny Pickett come back and you have to remember he's a rookie, bro.
Yeah,
He's
bro.
not
People
Josh
Listen,
try to
Rosen.
say like, oh,
He's
he's
not Josh
24.
Rosen.
He's still a rookie.
We're not gonna give up on a first round pick after one season. That's not.
He's not Zach Wilson bad,
listen,
bro. We're not giving up on him after
We
year
trolling.
listen.
one or year
I
We
think,
trolling
two.
like
us.
I said,
We trolling. You must be
the
trolling,
number
bro.
one thing is if he comes back and he loses all them games, the
But
Steelers are
he's
going to
not
lose hope in
going.
him.
I'm saying
They're
my
going to lose
opinion.
hope in him.
It doesn't matter what happens if he doesn't win games because I'm telling you he is.
Okay, I mean, I hear you, but I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. If he doesn't, it's not
I
looking
don't
too
think it
good.
doesn't affect anything but our draft position.
Yeah.
It's
If
not
Kenny
looking
Pickett
too
comes
good.
back, even if we lose, I'm telling you, Kenny Pickett will not look bad. He might not look super good, but he's not going to look 3 interceptions throwing in a quadruple coverage
Yeah,
bad.
no, that just wouldn't
Or
happen. That just wouldn't happen.
and even just like think about Mika
Dude,
game
he
yesterday.
played
You go on
his first
what?
4 games. They were literally calling him Kenny Pickett. Like that's it. Like
But
you
that's
think
the
You
you,
need
stat
context. You
watchers.
need
but
context.
do
Oh
you
my goodness!
honestly
Did
think
you
that it's
even
going to be
watch the
getting any
first?
better?
Kenny Pickett has not
Jonathan,
had one.
level with us.
Kenny Pickett has had one interception this season that was as bad as all 3 of Mr. Trubisky's
The one he
interceptions
threw
yesterday.
the Noah Igbenogany at the end of the Dolphins game.
The
Listen,
ones
man.
against the Dolphins were bad, but the first one against the Jets, the first one, Chase Claypool off of his hands, hit ball in Jordan Addison's hands. Second interception, he throws it up. It was a bad rookie play. We get it, but it wasn't like he threw it right to somebody. It still was off Ryder's hands. And the third one was literally on the last play of the
It
game.
was
So
a
I don't
Hail
even want to hear
Mary.
that. I don't even want to hear that.
Listen,
I
all I'm
just
gonna say, I don't think Kenny Pickett is a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying, I think it's more beneficial for him to just sit down, relax, get healthy, and get prepared for next season. We ain't doing shit. We ain't doing nothing this year. We're not winning. We're
you
not
hear
going
that? You hear that,
nowhere.
Tyron? You hear that? I'm the Kenny Pickett police. I'm the Kenny Pickett police, and I am not standing for this. You better watch your mouth. You better not disrespect the future Steeler GOAT.
He is on the case.
I'm on you. I'm coming to get you. Don't
You
watch your
know what?
mouth.
Let's move into our next topic. Let's move into our next topic.
Oh shit.
All right. So we're gonna take a little break here. We'll take a commercial break, and you'll hear from our sponsors. Then we'll come back, and we're gonna talk about 2 other up and coming quarterbacks in the NFL.
Competition. They have very bad things to say about Justin Herbert. I'm gonna just put that out there now. I don't think these guys really watch football. I'm gonna put it like this.
Hey,
I'm gonna put it
Emmanuel
like this.
Acho, I'm
I'm
talking to
gonna put it
you.
like this. They went face to face yesterday. Face to face.
So let me ask you this: who would you rather have?
I want
Get
Justin
record number
Herbert.
4.
I
Herbert.
want Herbert. Herbert is the next. Mark my words when I say this. Justin Herbert is the next Patrick Mahomes. That guy can do it all on the football field. And when he has the whole roster that he has, the Chargers are a dangerous football team. When he has Williams, when he has
Keenan Allen.
When he has
You got
who's their running back?
Eckler.
When he has Eckler, When he has all those guys on the team, guess what? He's gonna kill. But everyone takes away from Justin Herbert because he has bad seasons when those guys are never healthy.
When
Those
you say
guys
bad
don't play on
season,
the
what do you mean?
when he had a bad season this year. Keenan Allen, I think, played half the season. He didn't even play the whole season this year. He was
Him and
hurt
Mike
half the
Williams
season.
have like never. They've
Well,
like barely played together.
okay, so I'm not gonna go all to it here, but I just want to put into some context here. You said that you think he'd be the next Patrick Mahomes. Well, have you seen the receivers that Patrick Mahomes has been working with this season? They're not necessarily big name guys other than Travis Kelsey. I mean, look at his wide receivers. So
I
shouldn't it
mean,
not
he has
matter?
Travis Kelsey.
Look at his wide receivers though. So shouldn't it not
I
matter
mean, I'm
if
not
he
I'm not
wasn't
comparing no
there?
one to Patrick Mahomes though. That's
You
the
said he
thing.
was the next Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
So
next.
this
I
is
didn't say he is. I said next. He's
and this
not
one.
he's not Patrick Mahomes now. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's on his own level. I'm saying next, he's the next. Like, don't get me wrong, Tua is not a bad quarterback. Tua is the toughest quarterback out there. He's nice. But guess what? He's not like Justin Herbert. He went face to face with him yesterday. And if anything, he showed out.
Yeah,
That's
he
just what he did.
did,
He showed out.
and
So you
So
can't sit here and you can't be bashing Herbert. And we
we're
all
not
know who I'm
bashing
talking
Herbert.
about. Not
Jay, what do
you.
you
We
think?
all know who I'm talking about.
we're
You
talking
can't bash
about
Herbert
Mr.
and say
Social
this and
Media
that.
quarterback.
But guess what? Guess
Uh,
what? Guess what he just did yesterday? He won with
Let's
a
see.
full
Let's
healthy roster.
let's see what Dre said. Dre, give us your take.
well, I watched the game. The Chargers, they're already playing with a depleted defense, and Tua still couldn't get things going. I seen a video today. It was on a TikTok post. His name is Bladen Kurt. He said that the Chargers were playing a lot of heavy press coverage, bumping Tyreek Hill around. Outside of Tyreek Hill's like two big plays, they were able to keep him pretty quiet the whole night. And Tua, his main thing, like with his play, is he's a very precise and he's good at timing. And that with them throwing off his timing, with bumping Tyreek, slowing him up in his routes, that leads Tua to go 10 for 28 on the night.
All I'm gonna say is Tua, like you said, yeah, they took him out. They took Tyreek out of the game a little bit. Yeah, not really. I mean, he still scored 2 touchdowns. Um, how many targets did your second best wide receiver on our team, Jalen Waddle, get?
Yeah,
How many?
too.
How many? How many? Catches did Mike Gillespie get? You know what I mean? So just simple stuff like that is why I just like I don't know. I don't think Tua is a bad quarterback, but you ask me Tua or Herbert. Tua is a straight winner. Don't get me wrong, but I like Herbert's bag a lot more. Not
Oh yeah.
necessarily, not necessarily do I dislike Tua, but I like Herbert's bag.
If I had to build a
So so
team, yeah, I want Herbert.
so let me just give you some statistics here that I wrote down just to put in some perspective for you guys. So in terms of this season alone, well, Tua for his career is 21-11. That's his career win loss record. If you guys got that up, Justin Herbert is 22. We get it. He hasn't always had the best team around him. His players haven't always been healthy. This season, Tua has a 65.5% completion percentage. Herbert has 67.6. He's better than that. Tua has 3,004 yards. Herbert has 3,706 yards. Herbert blows him out of the water. Tua has 22 touchdowns to Herbert's 21. Tua's only thrown 5 interceptions to Tua's 7. Those are both really good, regardless of which player. 7 interceptions is very tremendous at this
That's
stage.
good. Yeah, that's good.
Tua's QBR 73.4. Herbert's QBR 57.9. And the main thing I really wanted to hit on here in terms of stats for Herbert, especially against Tua, is the amount of attempts that Herbert takes. Tua has 345 attempts this season. Now remember, Herbert has 700 more passing yards, or just about 700 more passing yards this season. Tua's thrown
I think
345. Just listen. Tua's thrown 345 attempts. Herbert has 561. Tua has one game this season where he's thrown 40 or more attempts. Herbert has 9, including 3 of at least 50.
he's a
Tua,
gunslinger. What can
You
I
know why?
say?
Tua,
Yeah, you know
complete,
why that
Tua,
is?
Tua has completed at least 70% of his passes 6 times. Herbert has only completed 70% 3 times. So I want you to keep those stats in mind whenever you think about that.
You know why that is?
Yeah.
Because the Dolphins are a big shot, big play team. most of Tyreek Hill's touchdowns, the reason why Tua doesn't throw the ball that much is
50
because it's
plus
usually a
yards.
streak to Tyreek.
What does Tyreek have? 11 touchdowns with 50 plus yards this season. The
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure
second,
he did
he's
a little more.
tied second most ever in NFL history.
Mhm.
50-yard touchdowns. I just want you to keep that in mind. Justin Herbert is a gunslinger. He's slinging that thing every single time. I like the way he throws the ball. I like the way he runs the ball. I mean, he's not the best runner, but I'm saying
He still
can
gets
run
it
when he
done.
needs to.
Yeah, he'll get it done.
Honestly, I would take Tua because I like Tua. I've liked him since he was in college. I think the Dolphins have played really well this season with him in, especially, and like I said, the stats in terms of his yards might not be up there with Herbert, and yeah, Herbert might be flashing and stuff like that, but I just think for the trajectory, I think Tua's gotten better every season he's played. This year, I think, Tua, if you take out the last two games that Tua's had, or maybe the last three, really hasn't looked too good. I mean, he's had some really great games this season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's put
I know,
together some
I know
games.
Herbert's been good too, but I'm saying, obviously he got hurt against Cincinnati, but I mean, if you look at the stats against the New England Patriots, he threw 22 for 33, 207 yards. Against Baltimore, when he went on that 21-point comeback in the fourth quarter, 36 for 50, 469 yards. He's had a game of 382, 302, 285, and 299. Really, the only two bad games he's kind of had this season were last week against San Francisco, and then obviously yesterday against the Chargers, where he 10 for 28 for 145. But Tua has been impressive.
I mean, no doubt Tua has been impressive, but the question here is Justin Herbert versus Tua, and I think it's Justin Herbert. I mean, I don't think it's a bad. I don't think neither of them are bad. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
neither of
no,
them are bad.
no.
But I want Justin Herbert, 100%.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree with that take.
All right. Well, that does it for our Tua versus Herbert debate. It's interesting to see how the rest of their careers will play out because Miami, I mean, they have some weapons on that offense, and the Chargers have some solid players on there too. They haven't been able to stay healthy, but the Chargers do have
And
good.
weapons, they have the best. The problem with
They have
I
the best
think
wide receiver duo.
the
Same thing
problem
with
with it
team.
yesterday is you have the number one offense, or you have the number one this, the number one that, and there was nothing to show for yesterday.
Yeah. Well, especially against, like you said, like a Chargers defense that was a little bit depleted as they've been. But all right. Well, when we come back, we're gonna ask a couple. We're gonna make a couple statements, and we're gonna tell you if they're true or false. And we're that when we come back.
You're back. Next topic on the list is true or false. Are the 49ers on the West Coast still Super Bowl contenders with Brock Purdy at quarterback?
Maurio, take it away.
So the short answer to this is yes. The 49ers are still Super Bowl contenders with Brock Purdy at their quarterback. Just a little background information on him. He went to college. He played in the Big 12. Brock Purdy, 81 touchdowns, 33 interceptions in college, threw for 12,170 yards in 4 seasons. And, obviously he was the last pick in the draft, but he's still a solid player there at quarterback. They still got the weapons around them. They got George Kittle, Debo Samuel, who I heard today that he's coming back. I know he got hurt yesterday, but he should be back by the end of the season. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk in that O line. But the main thing I really want to talk about here is the Niners defense. If anything is going to propel the Niners to the Super Bowl this season, it wasn't going to be Jimmy G. It wasn't going to be Trey Lance. It was going to be their defense all along. Just some simple stats. The Niners are first in yards allowed per game, first in points per game, first in rushing yards per game, and fifth in the league in takeaways. They only give up 75.1 rush yards per game, which is 10 fewer than the second best team. And another thing I kind of want to say about Purdy is he doesn't necessarily have to be a Superman or the best player on the Niners offense to carry them to the Super Bowl. When Garoppolo
Oh,
was playing,
but are
when,
they
when
Super Bowl contenders though?
yes, they are Super Bowl contenders. For the reason I just mentioned, the defense was great, and Purdy doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to throw for 300 yards per game. If Purdy can give them 200 to 225 yards per game and take care of the football, I believe their defense is good enough to carry them. So yes, I do believe the Niners are Super Bowl contenders.
I'll finish this one off. I'll let you go first, Drake. Go ahead.
Well, to keep it short and sweet, yeah, I do agree with Mario. Brock Purdy, doesn't have to be the big shot guy. He doesn't have to do all that stuff because he has a good team around him. He's a product of the system. Kyle Shanahan's going to put together a good enough offense to let Brock Purdy succeed.
What are y'all talking about?
Mm.
Are y'all serious? The
Oh,
49ers.
oh yeah.
The 49ers. Listen. Okay. Listen. You guys can say whatever you want, but the 49ers Super Bowl contenders, do you guys know who are in the NFC East? Listen,
Yeah.
I know Brady ain't having a good season, but they still got to beat Brady. They got to beat the Eagles. They got to beat the Vikings. I wasn't asking if they're playoff contenders. I said Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
The
The question wasn't, are they going
49ers.
to go to the Super Bowl? The question is, can they make it to the Super Bowl? And with that
Yes,
defense, yes,
but
they can.
you can't be Super Bowl contenders if you have all those people I just named in the way. A contender is a person going. A contender isn't a person making the playoffs. A contender is a person being able to beat the teams that I just named. And if
They
you
can
think
go
for
for the
one
Super Bowl,
second
yes.
that they are going to go beat the Eagles, you're extremely stupid. They can't beat the Eagles.
They could
Well,
muscle
Can't
up
beat
with
the
the
Eagles at
Eagles
all.
1,000%.
Let's
They
not get
muscle up with the
personal.
Eagles.
The 49ers, even in the last couple seasons, I mean, they went to the Super Bowl in 2019 with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo,
And
but
they lost.
But
Jimmy Garoppolo is.
They
his
But
physical
lost.
they made
prowess
it
is
to the
better.
Super Bowl, didn't they? They made it to the Super Bowl.
They
Last year,
lost.
they're a dropped interception by their defensive back away from making it to the Super Bowl again. I'm telling you, it's the defense. They're good enough. They can carry them. They've been dominant.
And
They've
they have
only given
enough
up.
weapons to keep them
They've
afloat.
won 5 games in a row. They've given up 14, 16, 10, 0, 17, and 7 points. And so you mentioned Tom Brady. What happened yesterday when they played Tom Brady?
I mean, yes, I understand that, but I'm saying either way, when the playoffs roll around, it's going to be a whole different team. And when it comes to the playoffs,
They're built for
they're
the
not
playoffs because
beating
they're
the
a defensive
Eagles.
team. Defense wins
That's
championships.
cool, but
They
so
don't
are the
have
Eagles. What are okay? So are the Eagles. The
no, the
Eagles are
Eagles
the
are a
best
great
team in
team. Yeah.
football. They're the best
They
team in
might
football.
be. But the Niners are contenders. You're interpreting it the wrong way. We didn't say are they the best
Not
team. We said
contenders.
are they Super Bowl contenders?
Contenders,
Yes.
but they
I
can't be contenders. They
still
can't beat
believe
the
they
Eagles.
could make it to the game. They can make it
They
there.
I
can't
think they
make
can
it if
make
they
it to
can't
the
beat the
Super Bowl.
Eagles.
Yeah.
They could
If you
beat the
can't beat the
Eagles.
Eagles, you can't make it.
Who's to say they can't beat the Eagles though?
Are you serious?
Go
The
ahead, G.
49ers could go
Explain to
pound for
me.
pound with the
Explain to
Eagles.
me.
I
Explain to
believe
me,
that
Jared.
How?
Explain to me.
How?
Explain to me.
How are they going?
Explain.
Okay, how are they going pound for pound with the Eagles? Go ahead and you tell me. You tell me one thing they're better at besides overall defense. You tell me one
Overall
other thing.
defense is
Okay.
almost half the
But
game.
They have a top
overall
5
defense is
O-line.
really close. Like their defense is this freaking close to the Eagles. The
Oh
Eagles
yeah.
have phenomenal defense. You can argue that the Eagles defense is better than the 49ers defense. But guess what? You know what really sticks out? The 49ers offense is nowhere close to the Eagles offense.
But they're just using the
Wrong.
weapons and the players
Wrong.
that they have on offense, though.
I'm not
Christian
wrong
McCaffrey
though.
is one of the
I'm
best
not
running backs.
wrong.
DJ Samuels is one of
Wrong.
the best players in the league. They still have George Kittle, the tight end. They still have that offensive line. If they can run the, I'm telling you, if Brock Purdy can be
Tell me one
solid and
thing
make
George
big
Kittle did
throws,
this year. Tell me what you seriously
it's
tell me
just
one
the
thing George
He
Kittle
threat
did.
had like
of George
3 or
Kittle
4
being
bad weeks of
on
football. He's been turning
Tell
it
me
up
on
one
ever
the
thing you
field.
since. They have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Debo's
We're giving
coming
you
back,
weapons and players they have on
a
offense, which
creative
is
head
part of the reason
coach,
why they
a
can win.
creative OC. They have enough tools to make it to the
Guess
big
what?
game
Guess what? Guess
with
what? I'm
Brock
gonna put it
Purdy
like
back
this.
there.
I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna put it just like this. It doesn't matter because guess what the Eagles have? They have proven guys, a proven leader and quarterback, proven running back that won't get
The
injured,
49ers have proven guys. What are you talking
won't
about?
get injured.
They're
He
one guy
won't get
short
injured,
of having a proven team.
won't get injured. Christian McCaffrey, he's been good this
He's
season.
been going
But guess what?
strong.
Guess what? What happens if his ankle goes out? Then he's out. Then they're
But
not
you
Super Bowl
can't play
contenders.
that game because what happens if his ankle? What happens if Jalen Hurts hurts? What happens if
But
Jalen Hurts gets injured?
how many times has Jalen Hurts been
You can
injured
say that.
versus
You can say
McCaffrey?
that about
Go
any
ahead. How
player
many?
though.
How many times?
How
How many
many
times?
times has McCaffrey been injured since he played for the Niners?
He just started with the Niners this season. That don't count.
But he hasn't been in it for them
He
yet, has
hasn't
he?
been hurt the
So
whole
how are you
year
going to
in
think about the past?
general.
Exactly.
Dude, all I'm going to say is some simple as this. They don't beat the 49ers. I mean, they don't beat the Eagles. So they're not Super Bowl contenders. That's
I
just what
get
I want to
you.
end it with.
I get you saying, yeah, it's one thing to believe that, which is okay, but to act that it's a complete, like, total blasphemous statement to say that is very much
Dude,
overreaction.
I am a Giants fan and I absolutely hate the Eagles with all my heart. But guess what? I know when I'm wrong and I know when the team's going to beat the other team. Like it is simple math, it's simple basics that when you stack the Eagles up against the 49ers, we're talking about we're talking about the 49ers. Like
They
I
could go blow for
understand
blow with the Eagles.
blow for blow, there's no way. Like there's just I'm sorry, you know, I'm so sorry that you guys feel like this. Yes, Brock Purdy had an amazing game, great job to him, but you can't tell me if Brock Purdy led offense versus a Jalen Hurts led offense, you can't make an argument for that. Like I get what you guys are saying, but you know you're basing off a defense. You can't make an argument that their offense is even going to hold up with their defense. That don't make no sense. Like,
San
yes,
I'm
they
Fran
got
has
saying
a
the
one good
creative
defense
game.
enough
is good enough to
playbook to
carry them.
open
I'm
up
saying
the defense and gash them.
yeah. If the defense can hold the team, if the defense can hold the teams to low scoring and make it difficult on other teams, who's to say that the 49ers, with the players they have on offense, can't score 20 points per game in the playoffs? Who's to say that?
All I'm saying is they're not being used. Simple as that. They're not being
Right.
used.
Let's agree to
Well,
disagree.
so the next topic we're going to talk about here is you either love them or you hate them. For me, and I think for probably you guys too, we kind of hate them. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., as Skip Bayless would say. Jrod, true or false? Tom Brady is cooked. He is done. He doesn't belong in this.
The greatest quarterback to ever play the game, greatest player to ever play this game in general. But um, if you really
Second.
watch the games, if you really pay attention to the games, and you're really a student of the game, and you just pay attention to the little stuff, the underthrows. When a quarterback underthrows as much as Tom Brady underthrows, it's a problem. And it's not just, little underthrows. He's underthrowing the ball really, really bad. He had a touchdown wide open to Mike Evans in the corner of the end zone, and he threw it to his ankles. I want to say it was on the 2 yard line. He threw it to his ankles on the 2 yard line. And he did the same thing at the end of the game, even though the game was way over. The very end of the game, last play of the game, once again, 4th and 8, threw it to his ankles. Um, I don't think Tom Brady's a bad quarterback. He's the greatest of all time. But I do think at some point, at some time, you have to sit back and you have to realize that, it's just not Brady's year. And there can't be many more years with Brady where you're like, oh, it's just not Brady's year. You know what I mean? He's him, and he's old. So you can't just be like, oh, it's not Brady's year because he's old. There's not many more years you can say that. He's getting too old for that.
Yeah. I feel like the partial reason the reason why he's so bad this year is the injuries to the Bucks roster. I'm gonna read off their players on their injury reserve. Ryan Jensen, their starting center, injury reserve. Shaq Barrett, injury reserve. Mike Edwards, one of their starting safeties, injury reserve. Sean Murphy Bunning, injury reserve. Tristan Wirfs, their Pro Bowl O tackle, injury reserve. Antoine Winfield Jr., injury reserve. If Brady has those guys playing, this team, what's their record right now? Six
6
and
and 7.
seven.
Yeah.
If he has those guys playing right now, I give them a modest. I give them
I
right
mean, I
now
give him a
9 wins.
chance.
Nine
Yeah,
wins.
they definitely have a much better record. But the thing is, the way that I've never seen Brady play football the way he's playing football this year, and I think that's the biggest concern to me. The concern isn't I know they can win games if they were healthy, but the biggest concern is the way Brady is playing football, throwing it to his ankles, underthrowing the ball. missing wide open passes. And don't get me wrong, the wide receivers, they drop the ball like no
Hmm.
other team in the NFL. But I don't see it to the point where I see Brady playing much longer the way that he's playing. Even at the beginning of the season, Brady didn't look like Brady. He looked
Yeah.
skinny. He looked like he was sick. You
He
know,
looks like he's tired.
I don't see it much longer. You know what I mean?
I don't
So
even think he's touched 20 touchdown passes yet.
yeah, so the thing
Oh yeah,
about
oh yeah. I do just want to say,
uh,
the 49ers, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 44-3 or 44-23, and Patrick Mahomes threw for 423 yards on them. That's the team that you want guys want to be Super Bowl contenders. But just continue.
don't worry, what about, don't worry. But so the thing that I kind of want to go off of what both of you said. Dre, yeah, like the team obviously around him, a lot of injuries. So, and I know the wide receivers. I mean, they have. It seems like they haven't really been on the same page this season.
Mm.
I mean, you just think about like Mike Evans, like that one drop he had against Carolina. But I think the thing that is kind of more about Brady than the rest of his team is kind of like what you said, Jonathan, about the bad throws and more specifically the bad games. Like, I know when he played Pittsburgh, especially against our third, fourth, and fifth string cornerbacks playing. Like our whole secondary was hurt, and it was just the passes were bad. The low, short passes were good, overthrown his players. It's not looking good, and to more, it's more about the totality of the bad games that Brady has. I mean, it's one thing for him to have a bad game or two here and there, but think about throughout the course of his career. I mean, yesterday he lost 35-7. When has that ever happened to Tom Brady in his career? Nonetheless, against a rookie quarterback. He lost 14-12 to Green Bay in a real stinker. I mean, they had 6 points until the last minute of the game when they scored that touchdown to try to go for two, where they obviously failed. Um, they lost 21-3 to Carolina, which was a bad win. And against New Orleans, obviously it was a great comeback at the end, but you know, in that game they got lucky. But in any other game, when you have 3 points at home with 5 minutes left,
Brady don't got
you're
those games in him no more to do that often.
so. I think the thing is I think he has a lot of bad games and a lot of bad losses this season, especially that we're not used to Tom Brady seeing, and that can be a sign of the team, but it also can be a sign of his decline. And I, it I
It's
think
not
we kind of
necessarily a bad thing though.
no, and
He's
it's not to be
old.
looked at. It's not to be looked at as a bad thing or such a. It's not to be looked at as a stain. But if I were Tom Brady, I would definitely retire after the season. I mean, I don't know what regardless of the off the field situation he's got going on, but if I were him, I wouldn't let the people see him like this. I wouldn't even give the haters a chance to talk about a time in my career when maybe I wasn't so good. So, he's 7 Super Bowls. He's the all-time leading touchdown, all-time leading pass yards, all-time leading games, all-time leading wins, all that. I really don't. Obviously, I can't speak. I've never been a starting quarterback in the NFL, but I don't see a need for him to be a player. I mean, he could be a coach. He could be a coordinator. He could be a consultant, but for him to actually be out there on the field, I don't see a need for it anymore.
I'll tell you why I think he still wants to be a player of the game. Whenever your whole life just revolves around football. He's been doing this for however many years, whatever year he's on, year 40, whatever. He's been in the league for a while. We know this. Whenever you're just constantly playing football, sometimes you don't know how to give it up and you don't know what to do next. All he knows is football. All he knows is winning. And that's hard for a lot of people to give up just like that. He even said he's allegedly he's not ruling anything out for next year. So we could see Brady coming back again, but I don't know,
And
man.
I don't think that's a good I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, Brady, it's kind of like LeBron's legacy. We'll put it like that. LeBron's chasing Jordan, right? If you
Brady doesn't
keep
have
and keep
anybody.
on losing, if you just keep and keep on losing, it just makes you look bad. Like you're at the top of the game. He could have retired with 7 rings. The moment he won the Super Bowl, he could have won press
One
conference.
thousand
I'm
percent.
retiring.
One
I'm retiring.
thousand
That's all he
percent.
had to say.
Did he win that one
But
at home?
yep, he won at home.
Yeah.
The very first home game ever played for a home team, he won. And I think the biggest thing with Brady is right now, um, the guy has 17 touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, that's not Brady.
17
That's not him.
He
throughout
only has one game
13
for at least
games.
3 touchdowns. One game for at least 3 touchdowns. Only
And
one.
I mean, his yards aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. His yards aren't bad at all. But he
So
had
it's kind of like you said.
17 games
Yeah,
or 17
his
touchdowns
stats,
through 13 games.
stats don't look terrible, but it's the bad games and the bad performances
Hmm.
that stick out and make it different. It's not like statistically, it's not. And he only has 17 now. He could still end. He could have a couple of games and end with 30 touchdowns, but
But
maybe
that's
not
But
30.
looking
it's
like
But
out of
30 good.
reach. That's out of
It's
it
30
reach.
doesn't
good.
matter. It doesn't matter because the bad performances have already happened, and there's nothing you
It's
can do to
30
change
really good, though. It's not even that he's having bad games. It's more so,
it. Yeah.
is he making the big explosion plays? Is he throwing 30 yards down the field, or is he getting all these yards from doing slants, checkdowns, and comebacks? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there's different ways. He's not having bad games, super bad games. He's having like, those aren't Brady games, basically. But I think the biggest thing is he still able to throw the ball 50 yards down the field accurately and give his receivers a chance? Or is he just getting all these yards from, slants and comebacks?
I feel like
Well,
partially some of that is based off of just the O-line injuries specifically. He lost Pro Bowl center Ryan Jensen and Tristan Wirfs. Those are like the cornerstones of the O-line.
For
And whenever you
sure.
lose dudes like that, like you often have to go to the quick game for a dude like Brady, a dude that really can't run, can't really use his legs. He's not mobile. So like that kind of has hindered his season a little bit. But nonetheless, he's
and the
still not having a good season.
and the O line being hurt takes away from the run game. Whatever the stats say, having missing two of your top O linemen takes away from the run game, and it's kind of like with any team, if you can run the ball effectively, I mean that opens up so much for the quarterback. So the defense are definitely a part of it as well. It's not like Tom Brady is just playing on a great team and he's just completely
Yeah, no,
falling
it's
off.
not like that at all.
It's little things and certain things that you kind of notice, which is like we're not really used to this. Maybe his age is finally starting to catch up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So can we all say that
Yeah,
false?
we can agree. I think we can agree on this one. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
Oh,
agree.
yeah. Definitely agree. I mean, the guy's 45 years old.
It's not
Like,
a bad thing. It's not. It's not a
well,
bad thing.
when you're 45, you just, your body's different.
Pack it
I mean,
up.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he
Pack it
bro.
up.
wakes
I'm
up in the
20 years
morning
old.
and his back is
It hurts
hurting.
to stretch. I'm 19 years old. It hurts to stretch, bro. Like it happens. Like he's getting old.
Yeah.
I
Gotta
can't
pack it up.
imagine how his knees feel.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. Like, he's 45, still playing football. I mean, it's a great feat, yeah, but man, they don't start winning some games. I don't think he's going to want to come back.
I wouldn't want to.
All right.
So it's all about winning in this league.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of winning, for our final true or false, a familiar face to the AFC North made his return on Thursday. Baker Mayfield. The Rams were trailing 60-3 to the Raiders with just a few minutes left. Baker Mayfield led them on a touchdown drive. The defense got a stop, and he led them on another touchdown drive, concluding in a Van Jefferson touchdown from Baker Mayfield on an over 30 yard. Was that the most true or false? That was the most impressive comeback in NFL history.
Well,
Dre, start us
that
off.
was the NFL history, man.
That's a
Dre, start us off.
in history? No,
I
that's a
mean, no. I mean,
stretch.
like that was like that was a horrible, that
Impressive,
was a
not the
horrible
greatest, just the
question.
most impressive. All things
Most
No,
considered.
impressed. Okay, I'll
no,
say this.
no. Brady
Going
came
off
back
of
28-3 in the
Dre
Super Bowl.
started, bro. Let Dre
look,
talk, bro. Go ahead.
circumstantially coming in 2 days, getting to know the playbook for 2 days, and being able to put on a show like that, I would say it's up there for one of the most
It's impressive,
impressive.
but it wasn't, in history. That's a
History may
long
be a
list.
stretch.
All things
Very
considered,
impressive,
all things
yes.
considered.
That's a long list. History's a
Uh,
long list. I mean, Brady came 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Like I said,
yeah,
that's a
and
long
Baker
list.
doesn't even touch that.
Yeah,
I think he came in. I think it speaks less of, obviously he had to learn the playbook on a flight, but it speaks to the in-game adjustments that Baker was able to make. I mean, like you said, they only had 3 points with a few minutes left. So the fact that they were able to, and yes, they were helped by the Raiders a little bit, right? There was I know
Raiders
there was a
couldn't
pass
run the ball. The Raiders,
eggs. There
their
was, I
offense
think there was
just
what? three
The
flags
Raiders
the very last drive.
I think the Raiders took 3 penalties on the last drive, so they definitely had some help. But the way for them to be able to adjust in game and go from getting basically almost shut out to scoring 2 touchdowns on back-to-back drives, especially when it mattered most, I think it might not be the most impressive in history, but it's pretty impressive, especially for Baker Mayfield. He's not too popular in my book. At least
But I
I
think
Um, well, I give Baker Mayfield credit. I ain't Richard Sherman. I'll give Baker Mayfield credit when it's due because this guy is amazing and he's been amazing. Richard Sherman, him not being I don't think he was a
I'm the
first
best
round
corner in the
pick.
game. You try me with a
Yeah,
sorry receiver like Crabtree. That's the result you gonna get.
yeah, him not being a
Don't you
first
ever
round
talk
pick.
about me.
I think when quarterbacks that
First
are first
overall
round
pick.
picks,
First
he doesn't
overall
give
pick.
no one any slack. And
yeah,
here's the
no.
problem I had with Richard Sherman's take on Baker Mayfield is he didn't understand the fact that Baker Mayfield went into Cleveland, a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in forever and won a playoff game in forever. He won them a playoff game.
All
The
right, love.
Cleveland
No,
Browns.
no, he didn't. He didn't win the playoff game.
He won them a playoff game. The
He might have
Cleveland
been the
Browns
starting
won.
quarterback, but he didn't he was not
He won.
responsible for the win.
He won
He
the
won. He
game.
might have been the starting quarterback, but he was not responsible for the win.
Listen, all I'm going to say
Let's
is
relax. Let's
I don't
relax.
feel like he got enough respect doing what he did with the Browns. I mean, they traded him for Deshaun Watson. And I mean, what has Deshaun Watson really proved in this league? I mean, you tell me, you read off Deshaun Watson's list. How many playoff games did Deshaun Watson win? What,
Well,
what,
Deshaun
what?
Watson, he actually did win a playoff game. I know because they played the Chiefs in the playoffs that one season in the divisional, so they had to win at least one. He's also won the division with the Houston Texans. So let's not act like Deshaun Watson is a scrub. If you would put
But
Deshaun
what
Watson or Baker
did
Mayfield, I
he
would still
do?
just say Deshaun Watson.
What did
I
he
would
do
absolutely,
that made you
I would
be like,
absolutely take
he's
Deshaun Watson
way
over
better
Baker.
than Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield was your first round pick, and instead of believing in this guy, you were like, he's pretty average. He won you guys a playoff game for the first time in so many years. The Browns can't even. I know everyone's seen the meme where they just read off all the quarterbacks' last name. Baker Mayfield is probably the best person on that list,
By
and you
far,
guys still
yeah.
traded him away. So I don't think he gets enough respect for doing what he did.
So
It's
I
because
don't
Baker
think he gets
loyalty
Mayfield,
enough
isn't
respect.
valued.
I don't think he
Loyalty is
gets
not
enough
valued
respect
these
for
days.
playing for a bad football team. He played for nothing but bad football teams, and people still they think he's horrible. He played for bad football teams. He played for the Cleveland Browns, and then he went to the Panthers, which is another bad football team. So nothing
well,
but bad football teams, and then he goes to the LA Rams with a really, really good coach in Sean McVay that can definitely teach him a lot more and get him in a lot better system. And he's going to work with Baker to make sure that he does the right things. And that is what I think that he needs. And I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong in that offense over there. And I think that comeback was absolutely amazing. And it just gives you more things to, what's to come in that offense.
Dre.
I think Baker Mayfield's a fraud, to be completely honest. Baker Mayfield came into Carolina. I think he threw 6 tutties, 6 interceptions. They put Sam Darnold back in there. And what are they on now? A 2-game win streak? It's Baker. It's him. He is a problem. Don't let him fool you with this comeback. The Raiders beat the Raiders. The Raiders beat themselves. Baker had nothing to do with that. It was the Raiders.
Well, first of all, the Deshaun Watson versus Baker Mayfield is a completely different discussion for a completely different time. We can't even get
I
into
mean,
that.
we can get into it because you
Well,
sit here and I want you to tell me. I really want you to tell me. I mean, why you make me understand why Deshaun Watson
okay,
was so much of a better option.
okay,
It
all
didn't
right.
make no difference.
Okay,
It didn't
I'll
make
read it
no
to you.
difference.
Baker Mayfield has
Don't go off
1,560.
it. We just went over the fact that Baker has never played on a good team. We're
That
going
Stop
off
Browns
acting
team
straight.
he
like
was on
stop
was
acting like
good.
Deshaun Watson played on a great team. He played for the Texans. They were
He
solid, but
had
they weren't. Stop acting like
he
they were
had
super
DeAndre
good.
Hopkins.
He had
He had DeAndre
Odell.
Hopkins.
Baker Mayfield had Odell,
He
Jarvis
had
Landry, Nick
Odell and
Chubb, Kareem
Jarvis.
Hunt, a great offensive
How many?
line.
Then
He had
wasn't
Miles Garrett
Odell
on
hurt?
defense.
Wasn't Odell hurt, and then the second season he
Okay,
got
well,
traded away because
he
he was
still had
bad.
Jarvis Landry, David Njoku. He had a great
Jarvis
offensive
Landry don't
line.
even
Nick
play. He don't
Chubb.
even play there no more. So all
He
like
played
these
there when
people that
Baker
you name,
played there. He
but
played
he
there when
doesn't
Baker
play there
played
no more.
there.
You know why he doesn't play there? Because he did nothing. So you
But
can't name him.
he was still on the team when
But he
Baker was
He
did
there.
had
nothing, so you
valuable
can't
Your
name
names. He
him.
argument,
had people
your
that
argument
produced.
He
is
wasn't
flawed.
valuable.
Your argument is flawed.
He's just a name brand. He wasn't actually valuable on that team. That's like
Your
saying
argument is
Russell
flawed.
Westbrook. That's like saying Russell Westbrook is really good for the Lakers when we all know Russell Westbrook is not having a good season. Like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but still, Jarvis Landry, the respect that he garnered in Miami, you still have to take a little bit of account for him even being on the football field for what he did at one point in his career. So to sit here and act like Jarvis Landry is still a good football player. So I think the team around Baker argument is, especially compared to Deshaun Watson, doesn't necessarily work, I think, in the way that you intended to.
Yeah.
And the
Listen,
stats
all
don't
I'm gonna
lie.
say
Statistically,
is
Deshaun Watson is way better than Baker Mayfield.
I don't think Deshaun Watson is way better. That's all
Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
Way
say.
think
And
better.
I
he's
think
leaps and bounds better
I
than
would
Baker
take Deshaun
Mayfield.
Watson over Baker Mayfield 10 times out of 10 times.
I think it's gonna really suck this year when the Browns lose the rest of the season with Deshaun Watson at the starting
But
quarterback.
look, don't take this season with a grain of salt. The dude
Well, what
hasn't
has
played
Baker Mayfield
football
done this
in
season? Baker
2
Mayfield is
years.
0-5.
2 years.
Man, this is gonna be a bad season. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be bad.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
well, bad.
I personally I don't think I honestly like I get it, but I don't think he got enough respect in the Browns organization to the
That's
fact that
respectable. That's a respectable
he
take, but
went to the Super Bowl.
he's not better.
Not to the Super Bowl,
He's not
but
better
I'm
than
in the
taking
Browns'
Deshaun
eyes,
10 times out of
in the
10.
Browns' eyes, he won a playoff game, and that was their Super Bowl.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. And I don't think, listen, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to win many games with the Browns. And then I honestly going to think everyone's going to be like, dang, we got rid of Baker Mayfield, and this guy's not winning us any games either. And I can't
Nobody's
wait
gonna,
for that verdict to come out because I'm going to be the first person to say, I
nobody's
told
gonna
you
think
so.
that.
I'll
Nobody's
be the
gonna think
first person to say I
that.
told you so.
Nobody's gonna think that, though.
Like I
Well,
said, first person to say
let's
I told you so.
agree to disagree. When we come back, we'll do an overall view of the playoff picture, who's in, who's out, who's gonna make it, and that will conclude our episodes.
But I've
Give
watched
him
football
some
my whole life.
time.
But
Let
I've
him
been
knock the
watching
rust
football for
off.
15 years. I know. I've been watching football for 15 years. I know when a guy's a crappy quarterback, and I know when a guy's a good quarterback. Not saying Baker
Let him
Mayfield's the best
knock the
quarterback in a
rust
year.
off.
Not saying that Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback ever. I'm just saying the simple fact is that I don't think Deshaun Watson is that much better than Baker Mayfield, and I
Oh,
think it's
he's a
really
lot
going to be
better.
proven.
A
I
lot
think it's
He's
better.
okay.
better. He's
Okay,
like
let's
light
give it.
years
Let's
ahead of
3 more weeks. We're going to come back to this topic in 3 weeks, and I want everyone to understand what I'm talking about because I don't think he's not going to win this week. I'm gonna just put it like
him.
that. He's not even going to win this week.
I think okay, he might not
Guess
be
what?
good the rest. Deshaun
Guess
Watson
what?
might not be good
Guess
the
what?
rest of the
Guess what?
season.
Next year they're not even going to make the playoffs. Then what?
Who, the Browns?
Yep. Then what?
Next year, Baker Mayfield might not even be in the league.
Yeah,
Now
bro.
what?
This dude might not even be on the
Now
team,
what?
bro. He's gonna be on somebody's practice squad. He's gonna be Patrick Mahomes' backup.
So what happens if Baker Mayfield wins 3 more games and Deshaun Watson loses 3 more games?
Nothing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
nothing.
the
Because Baker Mayfield.
Rams, the
2
Rams are
years
worse.
out of
The
the
Rams are worse.
NFL.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final segment for this second episode of 412 Press Coverage Podcast. To conclude off the episode, we're going to get a little bit into the overall NFL picture right now. We have the Buffalo Bills are currently sitting at the 1 seed. Shortly behind them are the Chiefs with the 2nd seed. Obviously, the Bills have the same record as them, but they own the tiebreaker because they beat them. Baltimore sits first in the AFC North with a 9-4 record. The Tennessee Titans sit first in the poverty AFC South. They have a 7-6 record. Bengals, Dolphins, and Chargers all round out the wild cards in the AFC with the Jets and the Patriots, the other 2 teams who have a realistic shot of getting in. As for the NFC, the Eagles sit comfortably with the 1st seed. It doesn't look like they're going to lose out on that with only 4 games left in the season. Then the Vikings and 49ers are a bit close for who might get the 2nd or 3rd seed. Vikings currently sit 2nd. The Buccaneers in the poverty NFC South sit first, 6 and 7. There'll be a first round exit. And then we have the Cowboys, Washington football team, and the New York Giants rounding out the wild card with the Seattle Seahawks and surprisingly the Lions maybe having a chance to get in. So just
Hey,
Jerry, we'll start with
Packers
you.
Packers are still in there too. Hold on,
No.
relax.
We'll
Jerry,
entertain
we'll,
that. We'll entertain
Jerry,
that.
we'll, Jerry, we'll start with you. Just what's your overall feeling? Let's start with the AFC. Just how are you feeling about the AFC playoff picture? Who do you think might be able to sneak in? Who do you think is going to get those last couple spots? Who do you think will get the one seed? Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, in all honesty, I think the AFC playoff picture is. I think it's set. I don't
I think
see
it's
any other
live.
teams. I don't see any other teams really challenging. I don't see the Jets with Mike White challenging the Chargers,
I mean, the
challenging the
Jets just fell out
Dolphins.
though. They just fell out the playoff picture, didn't they? They were in
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
but
playoffs this week.
I don't see them challenging the Chargers or Miami to get in at that 7. I don't see them squeezing in there.
I think the only frauds on the AFC side are the Titans.
I can agree with that one. I can agree with
I
that.
think as it sits right now, the Titans would play the Bengals in the first round. And yeah, I mean, I honestly think the Bengals are the number one AFC contender. I think I'm not sure if they'll be able to. I'm not sure what the schedules look like for Baltimore and Cincinnati, but if Lamar stays hurt and they play a team that actually knows how to stop the run, and I think Cincinnati will keep it up. I think Cincinnati is definitely the number one contender in the AFC, and I can see them
I
making a push.
mean, the
They might even
Titans
make a push.
lost. They
The
they
Bengals
lost
might
a
be.
lot of people
I,
though.
I think the Bengals. Correct me if I'm wrong here. They'll play the Bills. If the Bengals can beat the Bills, they might be able to even make it up to the one seed.
They have a chance to get all the way up there. They
No,
If
no,
they
could.
no,
beat the
no,
Bills,
no,
they'll
no.
be the one.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. They won't play the Bills. The Bills have a first round bye right now.
No, I'm saying they'll play the Bills in the regular season. I'm saying
Yeah,
Oh,
like they have
okay.
a shot to
if
take that 1 seed in the AFC.
they can beat the Bills, they'll have the tiebreaker over them and the Chiefs, and then they'll just need the Chiefs to lose one game, and
I
then they'll
think the
be able
Bengals
to.
have a good enough team to do it. I think they
Yeah,
do.
I love
They're on a
Deshaun.
5-game win streak. I mean,
They're getting
like
hot at the right time.
I mean,
Jamar's back.
well, Jamar's back, but they also lost T. Higgins
That's
and
a
Tyler
big
Boyd
hit.
didn't play either. Tyler both of the wide receivers didn't play last game. I don't know how bad their injuries are and how long they're going to be out, but they didn't play at all yesterday. Neither of them.
But them still being able to blow out the Browns shows that like they are a
The
very
Browns.
well-rounded football team.
Bengals, I see them making it out of the AFC. I see
Oh
them
yeah.
getting.
I
I
mean,
see them. It would be a tough if they play the Chiefs again. It would be tough to beat the Chiefs once again. So if they play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, especially if it's in Kansas City, then it might be a
yeah,
different discussion.
I think
But
it matters where they play out. So I
I
think they
think the
go
Yeah.
to
Bengals.
KC and they lose. They go
Home
to
field
Kansas
advantage
City and
is
they
a
lose.
real thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
they go to
I mean they
KC and they're
became
going to get whooped.
they won at Casey last year, but to beat a team, not just any team though, Patrick Mahomes' team 4 times in a row, I don't know if they can do that. But I still think
But the
in terms of
records
their
show
trajectory
that hey, the
and the
Bengals
players
have
that they
their
have,
number.
I think the Bengals have those dogs on their team, and I
They
think they can.
have the Chiefs number.
Let's not just shy away from the Buffalo Bills because
Yeah.
they're a football team out there.
Yeah. I feel
I
like a
think
lot of people forget about them.
the only weak side that the Bills don't have, every team you named has a somewhat okay running back. I mean, the Chiefs don't really, but they have Patrick Mahomes, so it offsets. The
The Chiefs
Bengals have a
actually
good
have
running
some
back,
solid guys running the ball. They're
Yeah, they've been running
McKissick
it
and
better.
Pacheco, they're solid.
and that's what I'm saying. The Chiefs have a good, or the Bengals have a good running back, and the Chiefs have okay. But who is the Bills running back? Devil Singletary?
Yeah,
Him,
they don't
James
run the ball
Cook.
as good. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So I think that's the only downside to the Bills. But I do think that the Bills' defense is better than both of their defenses that we
they
just
just
named.
lost Von Miller. They just lost Von Miller, though. That's going to be a big
That's a
loss.
big
That is a
hit.
big.
That's
That's a
a
big hit.
big hit.
What did he do? He tore something.
He's
Didn't he?
out. He's out for the
ACL, I
year.
think.
He might be out for next season.
Yeah. So
I think them
I
not having a running game can come into play, and that could come and bite
Because it
them in
makes
the ass.
Josh Allen throw the ball a lot. And Josh Allen, I mean, he has. I think he might have the most interceptions amongst the elite quarterbacks in the NFL this season.
And
So
then he's coming
Allen,
off that like the little
yeah,
UCL strain. So like you don't want him throwing the ball like 50 times really.
yeah. But the thing is, I think the biggest thing is, I think out of the AFC, we got the top three teams right now are the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. And yes, the Bengals okay, But let's really go into it. I don't think the Ravens are going to go too far. One, I don't
No,
think Lamar Jackson should come back for the rest of the
Well,
season. We already
I
talked
don't think
about
Lamar
Lamar for
Jackson
you
should
guys.
have played this whole season, in my
he should have
opinion.
said it. He should sit out because of the contract, if anything.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then another
Mm-hmm.
thing is, if I'm picking the team to come out the AFC, it's going to be the Bills. And only reason I say that is yes, they just lost Von Miller, but the Bills have a crazy defense, and I mean an absolute terror. Like they're a terror on the field. I mean you can't pass deep on them.
Even through injuries, they still have had a top
Like
defense in
and
the
yeah,
The
and
league.
I
Bengals
mean
have a good
there are a
defense.
lot
The
of people
Bengals
missing. I
have a
think
good defense.
Teron Johnson is still injured for them. I think Micah Hyde is still
Poyer,
injured for them.
Hyde.
And imagine when those guys come back, this team's going to be a threat.
But you know what the Bengals have though that the Bills might lack now that Von Miller's out is pass rush. They got that guy Henderson, the one who wears no gloves, and they have
Mm-hmm.
another player on the D line. I can't remember his name right now, but the Bengals have a solid
Trey
pass rush
Hendrickson and Sam
without
Hubbard.
Well,
Sam
the
Hubbard. They
Bills
get
the
at
Bills defense isn't no well, Bills defensive line isn't no slouch. Now they did take a big hit
no, they're
losing
not.
Von
But they
Miller.
lost. Von Miller is a huge. I think that's a bigger loss than people might realize.
It
Yeah,
is.
but they
Talk
still
about a
we
Super
still
Bowl
got
MVP.
in the box. They still have Trey Edmonds
Mhm.
and they still have what's his name, Greg Russia coming off the other edge where Von Miller was on the other edge and Greg Russia was on
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
they still have a talented
So they
defense.
still have a very talented box wise, and they still have a really good defensive tackle, you know. And when it comes to cornerbacks, like I said, I don't know if Teron Johnson's still out, but they got Teron Johnson, um, freaking who
They
is
have
it?
Xavier Rhodes. They
Xavier. They
have
just
Damar
signed Xavier.
Hamlin.
Yeah, Hamlin's
Damar
a
Hamlin, he
dog.
stepped up big
He's a
time.
dog. He got the most tackles on their defense. And then what is it? Trey White.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
That's
He's
what I'm
not
saying.
hurt.
So you got all these people on the Bills defense
The
that I
Bills
think they
have
have the best defense in the AFC. Like I
they
will
have
I
the
will say that
second
with confidence.
they have the second lowest, or I guess they're second in points per game, at least in scoring defense this season. Number one in the AFC and only 17 points per game. And they
And
also
that's
So
rank
without some of
ahead.
their top dogs.
obviously, you guys think the Bengals are the Chiefs, but I'm gonna go with the Bills just because the fact that I don't think their defense can be beaten.
And yeah, defense is that's true, but I'm picking the Bengals because of the offensive weapons and Joe Shiesty and Joe Burrow and T Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. I mean, they're the real deal. I don't like Jamar Chase. I think he's a baby because he'd be crying when he plays the Steelers, but that doesn't mean he's not a great receiver and a great player.
Yeah.
And I
So
think the way the
now
Bengals have been playing, that's
I'm
why I
gonna
go with
agree
them.
with Jrod with the Bills, man. I think it's their year. They've been through so much disappointment. I feel like this just has to be it
they
for
can
them.
go to a Super Bowl. They're not gonna win the Super Bowl, but they can go. They can
Oh,
go. Now we can move to
hey.
my favorite side of football, the good old NFC, where we have the NFC East with four. It won't be four after this week, sadly. The Giants play not the football team anymore, the Commanders. The Giants play the Commanders, so one of those two teams will be out the playoffs next week. So it'll only be three NFC East teams in the playoffs. But
They'll still have a chance for all
let's
four of
just
them to
go off.
go, but it
Here's the thing
won't
with the
happen.
AFC versus the NFC. When it comes to well-rounded teams, the NFC has a lot better well-rounded teams than the AFC does. And I think the AFC wins totally when it comes to offense. But when it comes to defense, the NFC has the 49ers, the Eagles, the Bucks, even though they haven't had the best defense, and the Cowboys with a crazy defense. So when it comes to defense, the NFC that is their extreme strong point. But here's the first listings. So we got Eagles number one, Vikings number two, three 49ers, four Buccaneers, which whatever. Five
To
the
be admitted,
Cowboys.
the top three seeds will probably remain the same. The Eagles will probably win their division. The Vikings will probably win theirs, and the
Well, I
49ers.
don't see I don't see the Bucks losing their division. I mean,
One,
look
two,
out their
Oh, that's right.
division.
That's a good point. Yeah. So the
I
top
don't
four seeds are going
know.
to.
I don't know.
Oh, that's
I
a good
don't
point.
see.
The Bucks good. They're 6-7. I
Yeah,
I
but
mean
think
who?
that
the
I don't
What
know,
division?
man.
Like
yeah,
their division
look at how
isn't
the
isn't
Falcons.
good.
We'll see how the Falcons play without Mariota's out, and now they're starting that rookie. We'll see how
And the
they might.
Panthers, they're on a win
Yeah,
streak
that's
right
true. The
now.
Panthers could very well beat the Steelers this week and maybe be a game out of first.
They
Yeah,
could,
so I mean,
man.
I can see it, but
It's a
let's
weak
continue.
division.
The Cowboys at 5, the Commanders at 6, and the Giants at 7. Now, I'm the biggest Giants fans. The Giants are complete disappointments right now. I just want to say that I want to put that out there. I watched the whole game as I always do every single time we play. These guys are getting blockers pulled across their face and not crashing on the pool. They're not crashing. They're not doing their assignments the way they're supposed to. I mean, they're getting absolute terrorized. Their secondary is always getting absolutely terrorized every time they play. I think the secondary is the weakest part of the Giants defense. But when I say they're not doing their assignments right, on the Jalen Hurts run for a touchdown, Jason Kells pulled right across their face. He didn't crash down. Instead of crashing down, no one moved, and Jason Kells just blocked someone else out the way, and he ran straight for a touchdown. You know, as a football player, you should know, hey, there's a pooler coming right here.
That's
They
where the
ran this
run's
play three
going.
times. They ran the play 3 times where a pooler came right to where the ball was going, and no one picked up on it. And I mean this with absolute honesty. I'm not a professional football player by any means, but as a student of when I say this, a student of the game, someone who watches football every single day, you should know as an NFL player, a pooler comes right across your face. They ran the play 3 times, and that's the only reason I'm saying I watched the whole game. They ran the play 3 times when a pooler comes right across, and they get a 20-yard gain because no one's following the pooler. They're just letting the pooler get out in space
Yeah,
and
dude.
block whoever's in the secondary.
Whenever a guard or a tackle pulls,
Guard, tackle,
that's where the
center,
ball's going.
tight
That's
end.
where it's
It,
going.
I mean, Jason Kells pulled, the guard pulled, their tight end, it's not Goober right now because I think he's hurt. Tight
Yeah.
end pool. I mean, every time, every single, the biggest thing I think with football is every single time someone pulls, that's usually where they're going. That's usually
You're
the
never
biggest
gonna
key to
run
their
away from a
offense.
pulling guard or tackle. That just doesn't
As a
happen.
as a linebacker, you're seeing it. You're looking at it. You can see, okay, yes, the you can see they're flowing, the offensive line is flowing this way. But you see it someone pulling, they're
The
not pulling
ball's
for no reason.
going there.
They will never pull for no reason. So you can see the line flow this way. But if a gore is coming around and pulling that way, it's a little fishy, right? They're not pulling for no reason. So that's all I want to say is they got pulled in front of 3 times and didn't stop it, and it was absolutely ridiculous. But we can get into the NFC East. Obviously, I'm not an Eagles fan. I hate the Eagles.
Hmm.
I hate the Cowboys. I just hate everything that has to do with the NFC East besides the Giants. But the best team to come out of the NFC East is easily the Eagles.
I like First of all, about the Giants, I think the issue with them is definitely like the trajectory they've been on. Like they started out 7-2, and then in the last five they've been 1-3-1.
One four and
Um,
one. Well, they started
or
off
one
six
four.
and one,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
and they've ended as 1-4-1.
That's just you
So
can't have that. Can't.
yeah, that's pretty tough. The thing that interests me, I think, is a real wild card in the NFC. I think is the Dallas Cowboys. One interesting thing they did today, which I think is a sneaky signing, especially in lieu of the Odell Beckham
T.Y.
signing,
Hilton.
they signed T.Y. Hilton today, which is kind of crazy. Very, I don't know how to feel about that, but
A lot of people seem to forget though.
he
T.Y.
was
Hilton
him.
on that
T.Y.
on
Hilton
that on
came back.
that Colts team,
He was
he
that
was
guy.
never a big splash player, and he never. I feel like he never really got like the coverage that he should have. But
I
he
agree.
led the league in receiving yards one year, and people don't remember that. But he led the league in receiving yards.
I think the Cowboys they're a wild card because I think that they could either be a first, they could either lose in the first round, they could get upset by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or I could see them going all the way to the Super Bowl. I
I
mean,
mean, personally, the only thing I will say about the Cowboys is I don't believe in Dak Prescott at all.
well, so, so yeah, so I mean, yeah,
I
Dak
don't believe
Prescott.
in. I believe in their offense. Their offense is really good. I don't believe in Dak Prescott.
Well,
Um,
they have good running backs. Tony Pollard's been doing good. Ezekiel Elliott,
Him and
especially
Zeke have
yesterday,
been a very
he had
good
some really good
two-headed
runs. The O line
monster.
is good. CD Lamb, up and coming young receiver. Michael Gallup is coming back from injury. The defense obviously is good. They got Michael Parsons, who
They might
I've
have
been hearing a lot.
the best defensive player in the league right now.
I've,
Mhm.
I've been hearing a lot about Michael Parsons, and it seems like he's a real good pass rusher, and he be getting after the quarterback. So I think the Cowboys are definitely a wild card for me in terms of I could see them making it to the Super Bowl maybe, but I could also see them losing in the first round. And
I'll never put Cowboys in the Super Bowl in the same sentence. I tell you that much. But I do
What about
think,
y'all frauds?
I mean,
my
I think the
fraud,
frauds are the Giants. I think the frauds are easily. I mean, I
I
love
would
it.
say
Like the Giants are my team, but when someone is your team, you can criticize them the most. The
Oh
Giants
yeah,
are the fraud. I mean,
I'm looking.
they're 1-4-1 the last 6 games. They started off the
Remind
season
you,
6-1.
remind you of the 2020 Steelers a little bit, doesn't it? That's what I was thinking of when I think about them.
I
start out
think the
hot.
biggest thing about it is, like I said last week on the show, you have Saquon Barkley and you're handing the ball off to him 12 times a game when he should get the ball 20 times a game. The beginning of the season, they were 6-1, not because their football team was good. They were 6-1 because they gave Saquon Barkley the ball 30
He was
times a
getting
game.
it. Yeah, yeah.
That is your best player. Give him the ball. Don't put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands because guess what? It ain't doing too much. It ain't looking too hot. I mean, it's Daniel Jones's his contract season, whatever. But I don't see the Giants making it too far into the playoffs. I mean, of course I hope they do, but I just think it's complete nonsense. I mean, hopefully, the biggest thing I think they need to do, they gotta beat the Commanders and they gotta beat the Eagles the last week of the season. And that's it.
Drake, who's
Well,
your fraud?
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. The Giants, they are the biggest frauds in the NFC.
Well, hold on. Let me say that.
Mhm.
Commanders, Commanders, I don't think the Commanders are a better football team than the Giants.
I
Oh,
take the
I do.
Commanders over the Giants.
I
I
think the
don't think the
Commanders have a
Commanders are
great
a better
coach.
football
I
team.
think the Commanders have a great coach, and I think they have a great defense. And even though Taylor Heineke is not the ideal quarterback, I mean neither is Daniel Jones. And
Yeah,
I think the Commanders, just based on their defense and
and
them
they're
getting
hot
going.
right now too.
I
Like,
won't disagree with you. The same way we talk about Kenny Pickett is the same way
Yeah,
people still talk about Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones is in his fifth year. Kenny Pickett is in his first. You know,
yeah.
there's so much.
there's
There's only
level for
so much you
this.
can say for someone
There's
that is
level.
in their fifth year of football. You can't still be saying, "Oh, he's still getting used to it. Oh, he's still
Yeah,
learning."
nah.
This is his fifth year of football. He was a first round draft pick. You know what I mean? He replaced my favorite quarterback, Eli Manning. And guess what? We haven't won a playoff game. Like
Um,
nothing.
a, a sneaky team I could see though in the NFC sneaking in and maybe not winning a playoff game, but not getting beat, not losing by not getting blown out. I
Making
think
a
it's the Detroit.
statement.
I think it's the Detroit Lions, man. I think
Hmm.
they won 4 games in a row. I think they have an inspired coach that really inspires the players, and they got Aiden Hutchinson on the defense. Jared Goff, who is another one of those quarterbacks. We talk about Baker Mayfield. Jared Goff is another one of those quarterbacks that maybe gets a little more hate than he deserves. They have Amon St. Brown. I know they have that running back, DeAndre Swift. I think the Lions could sneak in here. If I'm looking, if the Giants fall out, somebody has to replace them. If the Lions can compete,
But you got to look at the picture though. Who falls out for them to fall in? Because the Giants would have to lose 2 more games for them to even consider to being in.
I can see
well,
that
so
happening.
hold up. Just so the Giants and Commanders play each other today. That means at least one of those they have the exact same record. So that means at least one of those teams are going to lose. The Lions finish off the season. They play the Jets, which is a game that they can easily win. They play the Panthers, a game that they can easily win. They play the Bears, a game that they can
They
easily
should
win.
win that
And they
one.
finish off against the Packers, and that'll be an interesting one.
Oh,
I
you
think the
forgot they
Lions.
play don't they play the Vikings this upcoming week?
Um,
Mm-mm.
no, they just beat the Vikings.
Yeah, they beat
Okay, so
them.
they beat the
They just beat the
never
Vikings.
mind. I
So
thought they played the Vikings again.
if the Lions can win out and sneak into the seventh or sixth seed, I don't know about against the Niners, but I think they just beat the Vikings. I think they can make it to the seventh seed, play against the Vikings who would be the 2 seed,
The only thing
and,
about that is
and losing a tough game.
I don't think the Seahawks lose again this year. So if the Giants went out and the Seahawks went out, I think there'll be a close 8 seed, the Lions, but I don't see the Seahawks losing. And I don't see if the Giants win this week, I don't see them losing again.
You don't
I
see the
see the
Seahawks
Seahawks
losing. They play the
losing
Niners in the
this week.
the next 2 weeks. They play the
Yeah, I
Niners
see the
and the
Seahawks losing this game to the Niners.
I don't think the Seahawks will lose. Honestly, I think the Seahawks have a lot to prove this year. So I don't feel like they're going to go in there and lose.
You don't think they're going to lose to the Chiefs on the
They
road?
have 2 tough games coming up.
And then they play your
Listen,
boy Baker Mayfield, who's winning for the rest of the season, according to you.
I think they have a lot to prove. I do believe they're going to make I do believe they're going to make the playoffs. The
Look at the
Lions are a
standings.
sketchy team.
They
Look
could
at the
sneak in
standings of the
there.
Seahawks, though. They've lost 3 out of 4, and their one win came by 4 points against the Rams with John Wolford as the
Yeah.
quarterback.
Huh.
I mean, like I said, the playoff picture on NFC is a little different. I just
Well,
don't,
it's,
It's
I
it's
don't want to
tighter.
count them out. I
yeah.
don't think I don't think they will win over the Lions, but I guess with the Lions' remaining schedule, you look at it, and yeah, it's not looking too good for the
Well,
Seahawks.
yeah, and like we said, it's about which way the team is trending. It's about what team is trending. The Lions are trending up, and the Giants and Seahawks are trending down. I think that makes perfect way for the Lions this weekend. Jerry, what do you think?
I think there's or I want to go a little bit off topic with I want to go towards the Bucks playoff race and
Okay.
how they could potentially lose their spot.
Mhm.
I think the Panthers and the Falcons
That's
have a
funny.
legitimate chance to overtake that number 1 spot.
Why do you think that?
I think they have a legitimate chance because the Falcons schedule coming up. Let me look at this. They play New Orleans at New Orleans. They play at
Yes.
Baltimore. They play the Cardinals at home, and then they finish off with the Bucks. I think that New Orleans game is winnable. Andy Dalton, who? Come on, bro. That's winnable.
Well, the Saints haven't looked good.
Baltimore might be a little bit of a challenge. That could be a game. Arizona, they're beating Arizona. Come on.
Man,
Arizona hasn't
I
been
don't
playing
know.
good football recently.
Kyler Murray just got carted off the field with a non-contact injury.
Really?
Monday night.
Oh yeah, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are doing much this year.
Well, they're done. They already. I'm pretty sure if they're not eliminated, they're close to it.
Yeah, they lose one more game and they're out, and I don't see the Patriots losing to them. To be totally honest.
I could
Yeah, no.
see. I could see I could see the Bucks falling out, especially because it kind of goes with what we were saying. We talk about which way a team is trending. Obviously the Bucks just they got smacked down by the Niners. They should have lost to the Saints. If the Buccaneers lose that game to the Saints, it's a completely different discussion we're having.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
They folded the bag to the Browns. They barely beat the Bucks. They barely beat the Seahawks. They lost 21-3 to the Panthers. The Bucks. They play the Bengals on the 18th. That's a loss. They play the
Yeah.
Cardinals. We'll see. If the Bucks finish the season against the Panthers and the Falcons, if they lose both of those games, then they'll definitely fall out.
There is one thing I do want to talk about. How I think everyone kind of forgot because they won. The Cowboys almost lost to the Texans.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
So it's a little, like I said, it's a little wary. Like that's why I can't really pick the Cowboys to go anywhere.
I get that.
In
I
all
get that.
honesty, if I'm picking a team to go out and not win the Super Bowl, but go to the Super Bowl, it's not going to be the Eagles either because I don't want them to go. It's going to be the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks are going to lose any more games this season. I think that's done with, and I think they're going to go out of the NFC.
You think Brady pulls a?
I will never count Tom Brady out. Never.
It's
ever.
hard to. It's hard to.
If I had to pick a team from the NFC,
the best team in the NFC is the Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC.
You see how you just freaking contradict yourself because you said the 49ers earlier? I want you to put that one on TikTok. Put that one on TikTok. Put that one on TikTok. Go ahead. Put it on TikTok. Put it on TikTok.
Yeah, he said they could. He said they could.
But you just said the 49ers. You said if I was picking somebody, it'd be the Eagles. But earlier you were just arguing the 49ers.
No, because the 49ers could go pound for pound with the Eagles.
I said they could.
Come on.
The 49ers can go pound for pound with the Eagles.
We're going to end this off.
No, hold on. You were just talking about Tom Brady doesn't have it anymore. You just picked them. They're 6-7.
I don't think he has it anymore. But I don't think they lose. I don't think they lose anymore. I don't think they lose the rest of the season. I don't think. I'm saying you can't count Tom Brady out. I don't think Tom Brady is the best quarterback this year by any means. Like I said, he's underthrown and everything. But the thing is, I don't see him losing the rest of the season and not being in the playoffs.
Jay, who's your pick to represent the NFC?
My pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl is probably the 49ers. I think they
Yeah,
have a
now
system put around.
you want to say
I
that
think
now
they
after
have
I
a
called
good enough
Mario out for it.
system
Bro,
put
let him talk,
around
bro. Go
so
ahead,
they
Dre.
could get to the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy, Jimmy G, Trey, like whoever it would be, I still think they'd get to the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
yeah. Say that now after I called him out for it. All
No,
right.
because I
Anyways,
believe
we're gonna
it.
end the we're gonna end the day off
Real
with
quick, Monday Night Football picks. Monday Night Football picks. Dre, we'll start with you. Real quick.
I got the Patriots winning this one, especially with you saying that Kyler Murray got carted off the field. Yeah.
Jrod.
yeah. I'm probably gonna go Patriots on this one.
I'm gonna go Patriots 6-3 final score.
Oh,
Um,
low scoring game.
And
um,
that's
I,
gonna conclude our session for today, guys. Thanks for coming on our show today, Dre. We always appreciate the
Sure.
special guest. We'll be coming to you live next week, Monday, or I guess it comes out on Tuesday, either one. But we'll keep you guys updated. 412 press coverage.
thank you guys for watching.
Yes, sir.